Hello everyone. Our group, which is Peter, Sarah, Nicole, and myself, have decided to do our online learning environment critique on the software called Gizmos. So before we start, let's take a look at the table of contents for this presentation. We will start with what is Gizmos, the benefits of Gizmos, along with the constraints and affordances of Gizmos, which all intertwine with the principles of e-learning. In the mid-1990s, a math teacher and PhD candidate had an idea for an online learning experience in math and science. He wanted to create virtual labs and simulations for science and math. However, he did not have the skills or money to do this. His friend, a nuclear physicist and professor, wrote a science virtual lab program for him. While he was tutoring a math student, the student's father asked about this idea and gave him the startup money. Along with his physics friend, he created what we now know as the site Explore Learning. Explore Learning has 4 learning products: Reflex, Frax, Science for Us, and the one that we are presenting, Gizmos. Gizmos is the world's largest library of interactive math and science virtual labs and simulations for grade 3 to 12. It is considered one of the best programs for STEM. Gizmos provides students with an inquiry-based learning experience where they can learn about abstract math and science concepts through visuals that they can manipulate. Gizmos is being used from grade 3 to 12 for math and science. Gizmos has a comprehensive library of mathematics and science, bringing instructional techniques to the classroom. The activities are interactive programs that use real-world problems to create strong STEM learning. The platform has a broad variety of teaching support, guides, webinars to increase professional development and use real-world problems to engage students. Gizmos also provides lesson plans, activities, and assessments. Gizmos follows the curriculum in the United States, Australia, Canada, and United Kingdom. Reasons why Gizmos has been found to work: 1. Use of visuals. 2. Student inquiry-based. 3. Increases critical thinking and new concept understanding, and 4. Computerized manipulatives used for greater understanding.
To begin, go to the Gizmos website. Once you're there, click on the Sign Up for Free button, type in your email address, and click if you're 18 and older. Click Create My Account and follow the instructions set out. Once a teacher account is created, teachers can create classes and create class codes for students to join. Access student login information, assign Gizmos to students, and view assessment results for each student. However, if you don't sign up, you get 5-minute limit to Gizmos simulations.
As Laura mentioned earlier on, Gizmos is geared towards students in grade 3 to 12. And one of the most amazing things about Gizmos is that they have Gizmos that are tied directly to the Ontario curriculum. So I'll show you what I mean by this. So if I click on this link right here, it brings us to Gizmos, where we can see that they have it separated off by mathematics and science. So here they basically have links to each of the different grades and all of the corresponding Gizmos for that particular grade. You'll see here that they even have Gizmos geared towards the new D-Stream math program from 2021. If you look at the science section, you'll notice that the curriculum is still adopted to the 2008 curriculum, but that's just because it won't be implemented until this coming September. And once that has happened, it'll also be updated to the new D-Streamed grade 9 curriculum as well. So if we take a look at the grade 9 math, we can see right here that they have all of the different curriculum expectations laid out. And below, they have a link to the different Gizmos that correspond to that particular curriculum expectation. So if we scroll through, we can see that all of the different curricular expectations are laid out here. If we look at this one in particular, the Math 1W C 3.2, we can see that there's 4 Gizmos that tie directly to that specific curricular expectation pertaining to linear relations. If we click on one of the Gizmos right here, we can see that we can learn more about this lesson or even just launch the Gizmo. So if I click this right here, this one actually has a video preview that will walk you through what you can do within this Gizmo, but not all Gizmos will actually have a video preview. Usually they'll just have this brief description right here, and then you can actually launch the Gizmo to see how it'll be like for the students that actually use it. So one of the awesome things about Gizmos, again, if we go back right here to before where you entered into the Gizmo, you'll notice that they actually have a lot of lesson materials as well. Many of the Gizmos will have this. So here, there'll often be student exploration sheets that you can use to guide your students through the gizmos if you want them to also have some additional guiding questions to go along with the gizmos. The various components and features within gizmos have the potential to impact both teaching and learning greatly. One way that Gizmos impacts teaching directly is that Gizmos has a teacher dashboard to review student scores, questions, and answers to assist teachers in identifying and addressing misconceptions early on in the learning process. So here's a picture of the teacher dashboard that I'm talking about. So here, this is an example where one student actually completed the Gizmos assignment, and we can see here it shows what response they got or what answer they gave for each of the questions, as well as which ones they got wrong and their overall total. So as we saw, ultimately Gizmos reduces the time that teachers spend manually reviewing students' work to identify gaps, allowing teachers time to be better utilized. One of the positive impacts on student learning that Gizmos has is that Gizmos provides students with an inquiry-based learning experience where they can learn about the abstract math and science concepts through visuals that they can actually manipulate themselves. It really provides students with the opportunity to practice these important math and science skills while providing students with immediate feedback to improve on their understanding as they learn. We know that assessment for learning is crucial in student success. Ultimately, Gizmos allows students to be involved in the teaching as they are able to almost teach themselves through the use of the interactive Gizmos activities. Peter and Sarah will now go into the affordances and constraints that come with Gizmos in more detail.
So similar to what Sarah mentioned earlier, Gizmos does actually require you to pay to have more than 5 minutes to access the Gizmos. Although if it's provided by your board, then you'll have more than 5 minutes of access. And then if you don't have the paid account, then you also have a limited number of assessment questions offered. So like Nicole was saying, you can assess students with the assessment questions, but if you don't have the paid account, then you can't access those assessment questions. They also have a lack of multilingual modules, so if you're teaching in Spanish or in French, then you won't be able to use Gizmos. It's only in English, unfortunately. And finally, it's limited to science and math curriculum. However, in the future, hopefully it expands to other courses as well. So some more constraints with Gizmos. So with the spatial contingency principles, it's often unclear what the graphs or images represent. They usually don't have labels, so I'd suggest that they should have labels to help students identify what is going on. The coherency and redundancy principles, so they both, the Gizmos, they lack both audio or text explanations, and they are redundant to the point where it feels like there's little to no information, so they need a bit more information to guide the student and be less redundant than they already are. Next, for the segmenting principle. So most Gizmos are offered as more of an inquiry, so students can alter parameters, see what the observed outcome or result is, and then use that to understand theories and principles. However, I think that the Gizmos should be segmented more. However, this can mainly be done by the teacher, just to kind of demonstrate key concepts, so students can test one parameter, then they go on to the next parameter and the next parameter, and have that chunked so that students have more of a guided learning. Finally, we have the modality principle. So it makes a noise when you click on different tabs or dials, and that's the only time that Gizmos actually make a sound. So I think it would be more effective to use sounds to narrate different aspects of modules. So for example, in chemistry, there's a module about the collision of molecules, and I think that there should be a sound that occurs every time the molecules collide, just to show when a reaction occurs, because that's the key point of that module. So by having that sound, it helps encourage that aspect of the student's learning.
So although there are many constraints to using Gizmos, there are also just as many, if not more, affordances. Gizmos is a tool that can be used in a variety of different classrooms, whether it be in person, virtual, or even hybrid. Since the pandemic has happened, however, we feel that more teachers are trying to expand their resources and learn about different tech tools that can be used and be adapted in the classroom to accommodate many students, no matter the circumstance. And I think Gizmos is very flexible with that. On some of the Gizmos simulations, there are additional resources that teachers can use on top of the simulations that we've mentioned already. Some of them may be printable activity sheets, lesson plans, etc. So Gizmos is also a great visual and inquiry-based resource for many students, as it helps them build conceptual understandings of many difficult topics. For example, many concepts in science can be difficult for students as some of the topics involve less tangible things that they can't really touch or see very well. For instance, looking at things at the quantum level, such as atoms, it can be hard for students to grasp, so having simulations where students can explore and use inquiry-based approaches to expand their understanding of these concepts can be very, very beneficial. Some of the concepts that you see in Gizmos are ones like atoms that are hard to explore without using technology. Gizmos is also an easy site to navigate. It is simple to find topics. You can use the search engine or type it in a word or a phrase, as you can see on this slide. You can search by category as well. You can search by grade, topic, and even strand. And this is a screenshot from Gizmos, and it shows you what you'll see in that search engine. The multimedia e-principle can also be highlighted as an affordance of this tech tool, as it offers great visual representations. Gizmos also has a game-like approach to learning, which can be an engagement and motivation booster in the classroom, especially in math and science classrooms, where you often see that disengagement happening. This will offer the opportunity to cater to different learning styles, such as the visual and kinesthetic learners, who sometimes are not always catered to in the quote-unquote normal classes. So these are some reviews left by real teachers that we thought we would leave you with, and thank you for listening to our presentation.